Texas basketball loses at the buzzer on the road. Then James Boswell joins the show for a little Bachelor talk. Then he's going to give a soapbox, and we'll finish up that interview with the rundown. And, of course, as always, we'll finish off the show with the fun fact of the week. For those of y'all watching or listening, make sure you're liking, subscribing, commenting, all those good millennial things. Do them now. Again, remember, if you put a comment, you put a hot take, whatever, we'll get you shouted out on the show. Anyways, let's get started. Welcome into the Thomas Fitch Show, presented by 1-0 Sports. I'm your host, Thomas Fitch, excited for the brand new episode. We will have the interview with James coming up in just a second, but let's get started talking a little Texas basketball. Horns over the weekend lose 69-67 on the road to the Sooners. Never fun to lose to the Sooners, but before anything else is said, before we go into the breakdown, the loss needs to be taken with a grain of salt because Roach doesn't play in the game due to the suspension. And I've talked to some people, and they've said, well, it shouldn't matter. Should be next man up basketball. My response to that is sure. If you lose by 20, it's more than just a Kerwin Roach problem. But when you lose by 2, that's indicative of the fact that your leading scorer is out of the game. I promise you, if he's in that game, obviously it's a completely different game. But if he's in that game at the last 2 minutes, Texas wins that game. Because if you watch the last 2 minutes, or even when you go back to the start of the comeback, what led the comeback was Texas heating up from 3. So they hit some threes. They play some defense. They storm back into the game. They get the ball with about a minute left, hit the 3, cut it to 2. Jace Febris from deep. Then OU gets the ball. Texas gets the ball back with probably 10-second differential from the overall clock and the shot clock. They waste time, can't get a play drawn up. I don't exactly remember what happened, but it was a bad shot. I think it was a three-pointer. Doesn't go in. OU gets the rebound. Texas fouls him. OU's in a 1-on-1. OU misses the front end of the 1-on-1. Texas goes down. Matt Coleman puts up a shot for 3, and it's blocked. I promise you, with Kerwin Roach in this game, Texas is able to do something better because they're able to drive a little more. They're able to have more defenders drawn onto Kerwin Roach. So that's what I would say about people who say it shouldn't matter if Roach is in the game or not. It absolutely matters. Look at Duke. And I'm not comparing Zion Williamson to Kerwin Roach, but if you want to just talk about losing your star player, Duke lost to Virginia Tech last night. And not saying Virginia Tech, obviously they're not the worst team in the league, but that's a game they should have won. North Carolina, that was the game Zion got injured in. Goes out early. Duke loses that game. And you look at Duke, they're a team with Cam Reddish, RJ Barrett, other possible top 5 picks in the draft, and yet losing Zion affects them. And so Texas, a team with, I guess you could say Jackson Hayes, top 15 talent, but no one else on the team that would even be drafted outside of Kerwin Roach. And you're telling me Roach not playing shouldn't matter, Texas should still be able to win? It's hard. And in a sport like basketball that's so team focused, or sorry, not so team, it's much more individual, you can't just say Texas should have won this game, it's next man up. Regardless, it was a great comeback on the road. OU led by as much as 17 in the second half. Texas showed some good grit to fight back in the game. But like I said, I was a little frustrated with the last 2 possessions by Texas. Obviously, the last one with Coleman, there's 5 seconds left. trying to take it down the court, but it kind of felt like they got the rebound off the missed free throw, took their time before passing the ball up the court to Matt Coleman, who got blocked. Regardless, they still got a shot off, and it just got blocked. It was a good play by Oklahoma. The possession before where they just passed it around and had to take a contested three, that's what concerns me more, just with the fact that this offense can go so stagnant at times. And that's what's worrisome when you talk about the committee looking at them for the tournament. And I think this game helps and hurts them as far as the committee looking at them. I think the committee can see, okay, this is a team that's been in a lot of close games. And here's one where it looked like they were going to get blown out, and they're still able to make a comeback. I.e., the committee knows they put Texas in the tournament, they'll probably at least be able to be in a close game. And that's what they want, especially with an 8-9 or a 10-7 matchup. They're not looking for a team who can win it all. They're looking for a team who can give you a close game. Texas can do that. Now, what hurt Texas in this game is the stretches where there was nothing going on offense. And it's not just this game, it's just about every game where they have stretches where they can't figure out what's going on the offensive side, because there's no real plays. It's get the ball. Maybe if you get a lane, do that. If Jackson Hayes is in the game, try to somehow get a lob to him. And eventually, when none of that works, force up a contested three and hope it goes in. And that's what's plagued Texas all season, and that's the problem with being a defensive team. It's kind of ugly to watch. And defensive teams never win in the tournament. I mean, Shaka's VCU team was a rarity. Look at Virginia. Look no further than Virginia. No team has been better on defense over the last 5-6 seasons, has been as successful in the regular season as Virginia has been, and then not been able to do anything in the tournament as Virginia hasn't been able to do. You need offense, and Shaka doesn't have that. But the fact that they've had some close games will help them with the tournament committee. As we look forward towards the rest of the season, we say, okay, what does Texas need to do? I said last week they need to win 3 out of their last 5 games. They lose to Oklahoma, so now it's 3 out of the last 4. That means they're going to either have to beat Baylor, who they play tonight, on the road. Iowa State at home. They play them on Saturday. That's a must-win. Texas Tech on the road. That'll be tough. And home against TCU. Because of that Texas Tech game on the road, they really have to win out. Because I find it hard to believe that they could beat Texas Tech on the road. The way Texas Tech is playing, they just beat Kansas by 29 points at home. So Texas, the margin for error is just about none at this point for Shaka Smart's team if they want to get in the tournament. I think if they can't win 3 of the next 4, they're going to have to at least make it to the Big 12 championship in the Big 12 tournament. As far as Roach's suspension goes, we'll see if he can come back. My understanding is it's from the school. It's not from the team, which is why they don't have a timetable in his return. Not sure what it is. Because it's from the school, it kind of makes me think it's grades. So, but I don't know. So we'll have to see. Texas will not make the tournament if Kerwin Roach does not play another game this season. If he's out for the rest of the season, Texas doesn't make the tournament. That's my prediction. All right, so let's get to our interview with James. All right, we now welcome on recurring guest. What is it, 5th, 6th?
Yeah, something like that.
Something high number up there. Recurring guest James Boswell. On the show, we got a lot to talk about with you. We're going to start off with a segment that you're not super thrilled about. We're going to do it anyways, really quickly. A little Bachelor talk for guys who don't watch Bachelor. Again, borrowing from Pardon My Take. We'll give it back in a little bit.
I get the live stream going here, and it's kind of weird to watch.
All right, so last episode, it was Hometowns.
Yeah.
Honestly, kind of a boring episode.
So boring, I really didn't pay any attention to it at all, actually.
All right, so let's...
We're getting to the part of the show where, it's not dramatic and exciting anymore. It's just these people trying to get serious. And honestly,
wait a second. These people who have known each other for a month are deciding if they want to get married.
And here's the thing. I really don't care who Colton marries. I don't. I don't care about that at all. And so, now that the show's not exciting, I just have no interest in it at all.
Yeah.
It's not funny anymore. It's
True.
just serious. And you also see how much these people are getting hurt. Like sending Kaylin home. I mean, it wasn't very far. She was already home. No. But she looked genuinely hurt by that. And so you realize, like, this show is actually terrible.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not as much fun when you realize that the show is terrible and it's really boring because I actually don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't watching it that much, but Kaylin was the first hometown, and her dad was like, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
You should be friends with her. That's an all-time comment there from a dad. Maybe you should just be friends with her.
That's not something you want to get.
Especially when your daughter chose to go on a dating show.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing. He told Kaylin that. He was like, I think you should just be friends with this guy.
Yeah, and she's like, I'm on a show that the goal is to get engaged.
I'm going to have a soapbox segment later, but here I'm going to start with a little mini soapbox. Parents, when hometowns come around, all of these parents, every single one of them was like, I'm concerned that you're still dating 3 other women. I think they missed the idea that this show literally revolves around one person dating multiple people, and no matter what happened in the show, by the time hometowns came around, there are still 4 people on the show.
Yeah.
No matter how strong a connection, you know, it doesn't matter. He could be completely dedicated to your daughter. It doesn't matter. There will still be 4 people on the show by the time he visits you.
Yeah.
So being upset with him for dating 3 other girls at the same time, like, that's dumb because that's literally the rules.
Yeah, that's what they signed up for.
That is exactly what they signed up for. And if your parents have a problem with that, you need to talk to your child, son or daughter, who signed up for a show involving multiple people.
Yeah. No, okay, yeah. I completely agree. So you go from Kaylin to Hannah G, and it was kind of a crappy hometown because
she lost some points on that
only
one. Date
activity was manners class.
Yeah, that was not good.
and that was awkward.
It was awkward. It was a lot of. It seemed very stereotypical. She's like, "I'm in Birmingham, Alabama." The producer's like, "You're in Alabama." Well,
I love how it's just
let's play up the Alabama.
The producers are just like, "You're from here, so we're doing this."
They were all in the Southern stereotype. I mean, he even there was even a line where Colton's like, I consider myself a gentleman, but not a Southern gentleman, and like that's a trope.
Yeah,
that's a trope.
Absolutely.
We don't need that. There was also the scene at the end with Hannah G rapping very badly that needed to not exist.
That was unfortunate. That was because Hannah G's been one of my favorites this whole show.
She lost a lot of points on this hometown.
And it was one of the whitest things I've ever seen.
So
like
bad.
No surprise she's from Birmingham, Alabama, but I'm like, here's this like very beautiful girl that she had to go and like.
You think she goes to the Iron Games?
I don't know. No, there's no way.
Not with that house.
But just it was a bad rap. Don't just if you get to the
end, her a bad rap.
It gave her bad rap gave her a bad rap. If you get to the end of the show, just skip it.
Yeah, not good.
Then there was Tayshia's hometown.
Tayshia's family, by far the best family.
They seem and also the one thing about it.
I'm not huge on Tayshia. Her family really awesome. She got a lot of credit.
And it was also not like, hey, let's bring in like 20 members of the family. It was like mom, dad, brothers.
Yep.
Which I think makes a lot more sense.
Absolutely.
When you're meeting the person for the first time.
Yep.
And her dad seemed like
really good,
pretty genuine, and his like questioning of her because he's like, yeah, I think I'm falling in love with her, and he's like, yeah, I know a lot of guys who can just say that.
Yeah.
And it was like, whoa.
Yeah. No,
she's still on the show, so I disagree with that, but
she got a lot of points in my book just for her family. I think she had the best family on the show.
Yeah.
That's about all I paid attention to, though. My phone rang, and I started doing that.
Yeah, because then you didn't watch Cassie. I honestly wasn't paying much attention. Her dad didn't like it.
I thought that was funny. He was like, he seems like a guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And despite not getting the blessing from either Tayshia or Cassie's parents.
I think he got Tayshia's blessing later.
You're right. But especially Cassie's parents. He still chose Cassie over Kaylin, which surprised me.
Yeah, but you're down on
honestly,
you're down on both of them.
Here's my prediction. And you're going to be surprised when I hear this. I think Tayshia wins it all.
Honestly, going into last night, I wouldn't have said so. Watching it, I think there's a really good chance. She's a sleeper.
And here's the reason. And I can't believe this is my sports podcast. If you told me a year ago I was breaking down the final 3 girls of the
all on you, buddy. I tried to talk you out of this.
I know. But his interactions, again, he's had like 1 or 2 dates with all these girls, which again is crazy. He's about to propose to one of them.
Yeah, that's
his date with Cassie and his date with Hannah G, both of them, they were just making out.
Yep.
His attraction to it's much more just like, hey, I think they're cute. And like I enjoy being with them, but there's not much depth. Tayshia, he's like done cool stuff, like bungee jumping, skydiving. They seem to have better, and I think that's why she's still around is because she's the one, even if she's not necessarily as attractive, she's the one who like.
Well, that's a subjective measure, also.
Right. Again, all subjectivism. So words are hard. Every episode, words are hard. That's our words are hard for the day.
Good.
Anyways,
not what I was doing.
Anyways, that was a fist bump for those of y'all listening to the podcast on the podcast. But yeah, he seems to have actually gotten to know Tasha, whereas the other girls are like, hey, let's make out.
Yep, I'm right there with you. So I think that's a good sleeper prediction. Let's move on.
Moving on to James's soapbox.
Yes, my soapbox.
Take it away.
So this is something I realized this last weekend while at a couple of Texas baseball games. College baseball's back.
Yes, it is.
Which is a wonderful thing. I like college baseball. I've never been really big on the MLB because they play too many games. But college baseball is a sport I can get behind, especially when you got a team like Texas and a facility like Texas and spring days like Texas.
Yep.
Went to 2 games this weekend, and both of them featured many, honestly too many, instant replay moments.
Yeah.
Now let me talk to you about instant replay in baseball. In the World Series, instant replay is a big deal. I think everybody from North Texas remembers the call in one of the World Series the Rangers went to and didn't win, where one of the Rangers players, I promise, I'm not very big on MLB baseball, that's why this is not very developed. But there was one call where the player was called out and he was never actually tagged. Or actually, no, that's not true. The Rangers player tagged out one of the other players, was called safe, and it ended up being a big deal, probably cost the Rangers a World Series. I don't remember anything about it other than that it happened, and then it was a really big, annoying deal because the team didn't win the World Series. So in the World Series, I think instant replay is important. In the playoffs, I think instant replay is important. In the early non-conference season of college baseball, you should not have instant replay in baseball, and here's why. Baseball in itself, I'm going to apologize before I say this to baseball fans, is a boring sport. There's not a whole lot of action. The reason, it's America's game because it's been around forever, and we like traditions, so it's been around forever. But it's not exciting, and it doesn't hold your attention that way. Why we like baseball because it's Babe Ruth. It's Yankee Stadium before they tore it down, which was the worst idea in the history of sports. It's all of these things that we like about it, and one of the things we like is the absence of technology. There's no clock. They actually got rid of the pitch clock idea too.
They did,
which is a good thing. That would have been, if they had decided to go forward with that, I would be vehemently against that, and that would be the topic of my soapbox. But there's no clock in baseball. There's no, as one of our friends is pointing out, there's no penalties,
right?
No fouls or anything like that. You have to earn every score. You have to earn every out. You don't get anything gifted to you. Except for a balk, which we still don't understand. Those are weird.
We'll never understand that.
Balks are weird. That's my takeaway. No. So baseball basically remains relatively unchanged from when it was created, outside of some minor tweaks every now and then. Technology has remained away from baseball other than ESPN's actually really good game tracker and stadium lights. And that's the appeal of baseball. It's sitting in a stadium, watching a game that was exactly the way it was played 50 years ago, 60 years ago, 100 years ago. That's what we like about baseball. Adding instant replay takes away that appeal. Yep. If I want to watch baseball, I don't want to watch the umpires go to the little booth and look in the little booth, because that's not baseball.
No, it's not.
So in important games like World Series, like professional World Series, maybe even college World Series, college baseball, I don't think should have instant replay at all. But if the pros want to have instant replay in the postseason, I'm okay with that because there's a lot on the line there. College baseball, Texas versus Sam Houston State, Texas versus Purdue. You don't need it. You don't need instant replay. If it was a bad call, just live with the bad call. Teams should be able to recover from bad calls.
Yep.
And bad calls are part of the game. You get bad calls in every other sport. The NFL doesn't review pass interference because they decided we don't want to waste that time.
Yeah.
There are a lot of bad pass interference calls. You just got to live with it. Baseball, you just got to live with it. You've always had to, and I think that's the way it should be. I don't like instant replay. I think it takes away from the appeal of baseball, and it should be out.
Yeah, I agree. You play 162 games, you ought to be able to figure out who's good.
1 or 2 bad calls will even out over that big of a season.
You can throw it in the playoffs, but regular season, no.
Yeah.
All right, let's finish off this interview with the rundown. I'm just going to hit on a couple topics real quick. First, Texas to the Pac-12. There have been some rumors. Good or bad idea?
No, bad idea. Bad idea. And here's why. Texas played Cal 3 years ago.
Yep.
In California.
Yep.
That game, I stayed up till 2 a.m. watching that game. And we lost,
I didn't even think about time zones.
So time zones is a problem because the West Coast teams in the Pac-12, they're used to playing their games at 7 o'clock. Everybody loves a 7 o'clock game. It's not fair to ask the Pac-12 teams to not play 7 o'clock games anymore just so the people in Texas can watch. It would be the most Texas thing to do, but it's not fair to them. So you got to worry about time.
Yep. Jet lag on the flights.
Yeah. I'm looking at this from a fan perspective. 2 hours,
I agree.
You can recover from 2 hours. But from a fan perspective, I don't want 3 games a year that start at 9 o'clock.
No.
Pac-12 After Dark is great because I don't care who wins, so I can go to bed at midnight if I want to.
Right.
But if my team is playing, I want to watch that. I don't think it's good. I don't want to be going out to California for away games. Same as the thing about the Big 12, we got away games in Fort Worth, Waco, Lubbock, which is basically California. Distance-wise. Not no. Lubbock is not California. Bob Knight compared it to Iraq. But you got Lubbock, Stillwater, drivable in a day. Ask the Longhorn Bandits, doable. Waco, Fort Worth, like I said, you got to fly to West Virginia. That's a long way.
Yeah.
But like Ames, and then the Kansas schools, those are far away. But not like Oregon or Washington.
That's really far.
That's a long way. Austin to Washington, that's a long way. I don't want to do that. I want my 90-minute drive to Waco.
Yeah.
I want my 3-hour drive to Fort Worth. It makes no sense for Texas to leave. Also, you go to the Pac-12, now the Oklahoma game is a non-conference game.
But you might bring, because it would be like Pac-16. So you bring like 4 teams.
It's just not worth it.
It would be weird.
It's not worth it. I don't want to play Arizona.
No.
I don't care about Arizona.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it would be weird. It would mess up the order of everything.
It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
We like the Southwest Conference.
If anything, add in Houston and SMU or, I don't know, something like that.
Or Colorado and Nebraska.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're going to win.
Oh, no, they wouldn't come back. No, but as long as we're talking Dream Conference, Texas to the Pac-12 is not it.
No. Does Texas basketball make the tournament? Yes or no?
Oh, my goodness.
4 games left.
Let me tell you, Texas basketball makes the tournament by the hair on their chinny chin.
I agree.
And then loses in the first round.
I agree. Yeah, I think the committee has liked us so far this season.
This Texas basketball team is a team that can win games.
Yeah.
Not on the road, can't win on the road.
Nope.
But can win games, and therefore is an exciting pick. Exactly. If you're looking at bubble teams, this team can be really hot.
And it's not a great bubble this season.
Well, and Texas is a brand.
They're a huge brand.
Texas is a brand. You want to have Texas in there because it's a brand.
All right. Kyler Murray. Where does he get drafted?
Oh, where does he get drafted?
And how successful? Let's just say an order of quarterbacks. Basically, it's Dwayne Haskins, Kyler Murray, Drew Lock are your top 3 quarterbacks.
Honestly, I'm high on Drew Lock. I think he has NFL potential because he was good in college but not a superstar. And people who are good in college but not superstars have been good in the NFL.
I'd love for him to
So I'm high on Drew Lock. I think Dwayne Haskins, if you look at him, he's proven that he's good and he has what it takes. Kyler, I think it's going to take a team with a visionary. Frankly, Arizona, I wouldn't be surprised. Cliff Kingsbury is the kind of brain who would draft Kyler Murray.
He is.
Here's the thing with Kyler. I think everybody says he's too short to be successful. I think he's just a good enough athlete to want to try. I understand. I've for a while been saying he should have gone to the MLB. I understand his desire to go to the NFL, though, to shut everyone up. So in that case, I do think he won't be as bad as everyone says he is. I also don't think he's going to be a long-term star.
I agree.
Normally, he would go to Cleveland. But they already have a Heisman-winning quarterback from Oklahoma, and that's actually working out pretty well for him.
Yeah, honestly.
So Cleveland is out, although he is kind of like the Johnny Manziel of this draft, except more successful, probably better all around. So right now I'm going to say Arizona because a normal coach is not going to draft him.
No.
That's why it's going to take someone like Cliff Kingsbury, who also probably won't be in the league very long anyway, so he doesn't really have to worry about the ramifications of that hire. Of that draft.
I think he either goes that high to Arizona or he falls. I honestly wouldn't be that surprised if the Redskins take him because he fits the Redskins offense. Jay Gruden would love to have a quarterback. I wouldn't. I'd much rather Drew Lock, but if he doesn't get like the Jaguars at 7, they're taking Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah.
They're not taking Kyler.
Right, because Tom Coughlin has a brain.
Right. And that's
no
just
offense
not
to
their style.
Kyler Murray, but Dwayne Haskins is a better fit for the NFL.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. That's coming up a couple months, but Combine is this weekend.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
We're going to see a bunch of overreactions based off people running in shirt and shorts.
That is the NFL Combine.
Underwear Olympics. All right, so finishing things off, Texas baseball. Just give a little preview. We watched a couple games this weekend.
Yeah, we did. Watched several games. It was a good weekend for baseball.
It was.
I like this team. Mm-hmm. I think obviously it's unrealistic to expect them to be as good as last year's squad was. Also, it took last year's team a long time to get good.
Yeah.
But I like what I've seen so far. I think this is a team that won't be here this year, but next.
Yep.
A lot of young guys.
Yep.
my young superstars right now, Bryce Regan filling in for the injured David Hamilton. Absolutely. As much as we miss David Hamilton, Bryce Regan, I've loved what I've seen from him.
He has the bat. I would say he's not quite there defensively, but he'll get there.
No, but he has made some good plays, and he's got some speed.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's got a bat too, which is good. I think there were some sloppy plays that I saw this weekend.
Yep.
Once we get a little farther into the season, this LSU series is going to be a big test. I think this team can be dangerous in conference. I know the Big 12's rough for baseball. You got TCU, you got Tech. Those are all hard outs always. Baylor's actually supposed to be pretty good this year.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a rough slate. But honestly, this is a team that I think can make some noise in the conference this year. Can maybe get out of a regional.
Yeah.
In the postseason, depending on how the rest of the season comes together. A lot of talent. I don't think they're ready to make a deep run though, because they just don't have the strength.
Yeah, a lot of youth on the team. It's gonna come down to, how can if they can be clicking by the end of the season, kind of like they did last year. It'll be the question of who's gonna step up and fill that Cody Clemens spot as the star. What player I really like, Junior Austin Todd.
Big Austin Todd guys.
Been playing good, couple home runs in the series against Purdue. Batting well over 300.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's great for him to kind of come in and I think this is his first season as a starter. He's exciting to watch. Ryan Reynolds, a little cliche, but he's been incredible.
Yep.
Made some incredible defensive plays.
I will say though, out of all, those guys are all returners. I'm really impressed with the young guys. I've enjoyed watching them. I'm looking forward to watching them grow throughout the season. So I think this team is going to be a good team. I don't think they're going to be as good as last year's squad that made it to the College World Series. Yeah. But, next year, watch out.
Yep. Yeah. All right, that's all we got, James. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, it was a pleasure.
We'll have you on probably pretty soon.
All right.
Okay, so we're going to finish up the show, as we always do, with the fun fact of the week. This one coming from Jesus Ortiz Paz FR. Paz for, I don't know. I think I'm gonna start tweeting these videos out and tagging the people and see if I can get some comments. Anyways, he posted a picture of him drinking, it was grape soda or something like that, and said, "Fun fact, I drink my drink after, in all caps, after I finish my meal. Who else does the same? Who else does the same? Psychopaths." Now, granted, I'm not saying you can never drink your drink after you're done with your meal, but if let's make a scenario. I'm going to Whataburger. I go in there, I order a patty melt as I always do. I get the full meal, it comes with fries. You're telling me, let's say sweet tea. You're telling me I got a sweet tea sitting there. Take a couple bites of the burger. You're not going for the sweet tea to wash that down? Now you get a couple fries. Still not going to the sweet tea. A couple more bites of the burger. Still no sweet tea. Finish the fries. Still no sweet tea. Finish the burger. Now you can drink. What a sick world we live in if people drink their drinks only after they finish their meal. Guess people just like dry mouth. Anyways, that's all we have for today's show. We'll be back here next week before taking possibly the next 2 weeks off. But anyways, from the Thomas Fitch Show, I'm Thomas Fitch. Hook 'em horns.
Let go of everything.